Friday on The Beat, so you know it's time to fall back. I am joined now by producer and recording artist Havoc from the legendary rap group Mobb Deep, which also featured the late artist Prodigy. They sold over 40 million records, including a platinum album and 3 gold albums. And we're also joined today by Washington Post columnist E.J. Dionne, the author of 7 books. His latest is One Nation After Trump, a guide for the perplexed, disillusioned, and desperate, and not yet deported. The National Journal lists him as one of the 25 most influential journalists in all of Washington. Havoc and EJ, thanks for joining me tonight.
Thanks for having me.
Great to be with you.
Great to have both of you together. You both look good together. EJ, who needs to fall back on your list?
Well, I think that Boris Johnson, first of all, needs to fall back for his handling of Brexit. He said that rather than delay leaving the EU, he'd rather die in a ditch. I think he's already in a ditch. His brother has resigned from Parliament because he doesn't agree with him on this, and feels he can't be loyal to his family and his country at the same time. He has created a monstrous mess for Britain and for himself, and I think falling back is the least he can do for all of us.
Well, and EJ, briefly, there's been a lot of comparisons of Boris as sort of the UK's Trump. But if that's true, they seem to be wising up to him even quicker than maybe Trump in America.
Right. Well, Boris Johnson hasn't yet moved a hurricane hundreds of miles to a different place, so there is that. But, what's really striking is Johnson expected that if he prorogued Parliament, that great word that meant after they met this week, they weren't going to meet until October, that he could get away with that. And Parliament was just up in arms and said, you can't take away our power like this. And I think it's significant that 21 conservatives bolted their party to vote against Johnson. Imagine if 21 Republicans bolted their party right now to stand up to Trump. That would make a rather substantial difference.
I think it's a great point you make. We can learn a lot from other countries and other types of democracy. Lord knows our democracy isn't fully democratic. And in England, they have a system that really does provide for people to disagree even within a party or ideology. Maybe we could learn something from that. Havoc, what's on your fallback list?
Oh, man, on my fallback list today is the 4 geniuses that went to Popeyes demanding one of those famous chicken sandwiches, couldn't get it, so they pulled out a gun and demanded to get these sandwiches. I mean, I want to know what's in these sandwiches. I think we should hold a really big investigation about this. Maybe hire Mueller to find out, what's in these sandwiches, and, maybe some more shoes to drop.
I mean, Havoc, this story has everything about sort of 2019 America. People way too quick to pull a weapon. That's a serious problem. People way too moved by buzz and social media and advertising. That's a less serious problem. But, I know there was a lot of talk online about the chicken, but, I mean, it is, as I understand it, it's still just chicken.
I mean, chicken is just chicken. But apparently this chicken is not just chicken. So something's inside this chicken, and I think we need to hold an investigation. And we need to find who these people are, because they're dangerous, they're reckless, and they're a public nuisance.
This is carrying Love That Chicken from Popeyes way too far.
Just too far. EJ, what else is on your list at the end of this crazy week?
Well, I was caught by a story about Ariana Grande, partly because I think Ariana Grande wrote the theme song for Democrats trying to decide from a field of more than 20 candidates. I'm referring to Thank You Next. And I think, there was a story in the New York Times that Ariana Grande is suing Forever 21, claiming that Forever 21 is trying to trick customers into thinking that Grande endorses their product by posting photos of her on social media and using a model who looks remarkably like her. And they're playing off her new album, 7 Rings. And here's an interesting fact in the lawsuit, Ari, that they are claiming, her lawyers, that a single Instagram post from her is worth well into 6 figures. That's just like the value of every one of your tweets. And I think that, that Forever 21 should fall back. They have already gotten as much publicity out of this as they can. I think I am the last person ever to mention, who would ever mention Forever 21 on television, so they've gotten a lot out of this already.
Although you're mentioning to criticize them, Havoc, I wonder what you think, because there is sharing and what they sometimes call culture jamming in music.
Right.
But this isn't between artists saluting each other. This is like a company trying to trade off her name.
I mean, I think the company should fall back. You know, they shouldn't be trying to use a likeness in any form or fashion if they not, you know, hitting her off, paying her, you know. So they got to look out for her.
Now, before we go...
Just to be fair, the company obviously denies any problem here, and they're fighting the suit, at least for now.
I got to get in one piece of personal business that we heard, because our reporters and researchers on the beat do their homework, Havoc. We heard your mother has a birthday today.
Yes, it is.
Mercedes Muchida. We have a beautiful picture of the two of you together. I would be remiss if I didn't say to Mercedes, a very happy birthday, and I'm so glad she let you come in on her birthday. We thank her for that.
Yes, yes. Thank you to y'all for giving her the birthday shout out. She's
happy birthday.
Super duper excited. Just turned 69. Thank you, EJ.
Hey, Ben, well, you know, that's something I would say if I get it right, if I understand it right, politics and hip-hop have that in common, which is shout-outs are important. We got to show love to the people who brought us here. So a shout-out to your mother, and thanks to Havoc and EJ for joining us on a special Fallback Friday.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, I'm Ari Melber from MSNBC. You can see more of our videos right here, or better yet, subscribe to our YouTube channel below. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with us, and we appreciate that.